Imagine surviving the unimaginable, losing everything, yet finding a reason to live. What if the secret to overcoming life's greatest struggles isn't happiness, but meaning? Let's explore the life-changing wisdom of Viktor Frankl's Man's Search for Meaning. Viktor Frankl's Man's Search for Meaning begins with a chilling reality. Frankl's arrival at a Nazi concentration camp. Stripped of his belongings, name, and identity, he was reduced to nothing more than a number. Yet even in the darkest of circumstances, he observed something extraordinary, the power of meaning to sustain life. Inside the camp, survival wasn't just about physical endurance. Daily routines involved relentless labor, extreme hunger, and the constant presence of death. Frankl identified three psychological phases prisoners experienced: the initial shock upon arrival, emotional numbness as suffering became routine, and a complex reaction to liberation. But what stood out most was how some prisoners, despite unimaginable suffering, clung to a purpose. Frankl noted that those who had a reason to live, whether it was reuniting with family, finishing a project, or simply holding on to hope, were far more resilient than those who didn't. He also studied the behavior of the capos, prisoners who collaborated with the guards to gain privileges. Their actions highlighted the human capacity for both kindness and cruelty, depending on the circumstances. Yet even amid such brutality, there were moments of humanity, a comforting word, a shared piece of bread. These small acts reminded Frankl of the resilience of the human spirit. Frankl's profound insight was this: life is never made unbearable by circumstances, but only by a lack of meaning and purpose. Viktor Frankl's Man's Search for Meaning begins with a chilling reality. Frankl's arrival at a Nazi concentration camp. Stripped of his belongings, name, and identity, he was reduced to nothing more than a number. Yet even in the darkest of circumstances, he observed something extraordinary: the power of meaning to sustain life. Now let's dive into the heart of Viktor Frankl's philosophy: logotherapy. In the second part of the book, Frankl shifts from recounting his experiences in the concentration camps to discussing his psychological theory and its application to everyday life. He introduces the idea that the core of human existence is not the pursuit of pleasure or power, as Sigmund Freud and Alfred Adler suggested, but the search for meaning. The will to meaning, Frankl's central thesis, is that humans are primarily motivated by a desire to find meaning in their lives. This drive for meaning goes beyond seeking pleasure or avoiding pain. Two concepts that were central to Freud and Adler's theories. According to Frankl, when we don't have meaning, we experience an existential vacuum, a sense of emptiness that leaves us feeling lost and directionless. This void can manifest in many ways: boredom, restlessness, addiction, or even aggression. Frankl argues that, in the modern world, many people experience this vacuum because traditional sources of meaning, such as religion, work, or community, have been eroded or displaced. Without these anchors, life can seem aimless, and people often turn to superficial or harmful means to fill the emptiness. Finding meaning in life. So how do we find meaning in a world that sometimes feels devoid of it? Frankl believes that meaning can be discovered in three main ways: through work, love, and suffering. Work. Creating something of value or contributing to the world around us gives our lives purpose. Whether it's a job, an artistic endeavor, or an act of service, finding meaning through work involves using our talents and abilities to make a difference. Love. The second way to find meaning is through relationships, experiencing love for another person or connecting with something greater than ourselves. Frankl often reflects on the love he felt for his wife during his time in the camp, which gave him the strength to endure even the worst circumstances. Suffering. Finally, Frankl suggests that even unavoidable suffering can become meaningful if we rise above it. He doesn't mean that suffering is desirable, but that when we face pain with courage and find purpose in it, whether through personal growth or helping others, we transform it into something meaningful. Freedom and responsibility. A key aspect of Frankl's philosophy is the relationship between freedom and responsibility. True freedom, he argues, is not about doing whatever we want, but about taking responsibility for how we respond to life's challenges. Life doesn't give us control over all circumstances, but we always have the freedom to choose how we react to them. This choice gives us the power to live authentically and to align our actions with our values, no matter the situation. The essence of logotherapy. In logotherapy, Frankl introduced several therapeutic techniques to help individuals discover meaning, even in the most difficult circumstances. Two of these methods are particularly notable. Paradoxical intention. This technique involves encouraging clients to intentionally face their fears or anxieties rather than avoiding them. For example, someone with a fear of public speaking might be asked to try to exaggerate their nervousness or make a mistake on purpose. By doing so, they take away the power of the fear and learn that it's not as overwhelming as it seems. De-reflection. De-reflection is the process of shifting the focus away from oneself and toward others or a larger purpose. For example, a person who is consumed with self-doubt might be encouraged to focus on helping others or contributing to a cause greater than themselves. This redirection helps people break free from self-centered thinking and find meaning through connection and contribution. Through these techniques, logotherapy helps people rediscover purpose and meaning, even in situations where hope seems distant. The beauty of Frankl's approach is that it empowers us to take control of our inner lives, regardless of our external circumstances. In the postscript of Man's Search for Meaning, Viktor Frankl introduces a powerful concept: tragic optimism. This idea challenges us to find meaning in life, even in the face of its tragic realities, pain, guilt, and death. Frankl argues that, although we can't avoid suffering, we have the ability to choose how we respond to it. Tragic optimism is about embracing life with all of its challenges and finding meaning in every moment, even the painful ones. It's about saying yes to life even when life doesn't seem to offer us anything positive. Frankl stresses that this doesn't mean we deny the existence of suffering. In fact, he recognizes it as an inherent part of the human experience. But what sets tragic optimism apart is the decision to see suffering not as a reason for despair, but as an opportunity for growth. Even in the most hopeless situations, we can strive to find meaning and purpose, which makes the suffering bearable and even transformative. This concept also speaks to the broader human condition. Life is unpredictable and often unfair. We will face losses, disappointments, and moments of deep pain. Yet Frankl encourages us to make the conscious choice to continue striving for meaning, no matter how difficult the road ahead may seem. This choice is what allows us to maintain hope, even when circumstances feel overwhelmingly bleak. For Frankl, tragic optimism isn't about ignoring the suffering around us. It's about confronting it with courage and resilience. It's about the will to live fully, despite life's challenges. It's a reminder that, in every tragedy, there is an opportunity to find meaning, purpose, and hope.